There is no publicly available information indicating Patrick Xavier Clark's trial date has been set as of September 2025. The last reported court date was a pretrial hearing on May 28, 2025, and previous court dates were scheduled in February 2025 and January 2024. He is accused of fatally shooting Migos rapper Takeoff in Houston, Texas in November 2022. Victim, Takeoff, born Kersnick Curry Ball, member of the rap trio Migos, dated incident November 1st, 2022. Location outside a private party at 810 Billards in Bowling in Houston, Texas. Charge MITA. Previous court activity, and y'all pay attention to this one. This one's where it really gets good. November 2023, Clark's lawyer stated he was claiming self-defense and that his trial was unlikely to start before July 2024. Then, January 2024, a court date was set for January 23. Then February 2025, a court date was set for February 25. But y'all know what we do around here. We just gonna break some news. If you would like to win one of these for free, pay attention to the video. Hey, we gonna go ahead and break some news today because that's exactly what we do. Man, oh man, oh man. Everybody been hitting me up. Nash, what's the freaking update on Takeoff? Don't worry, if you don't want to wait, skip 10 minutes ahead and then we dive right into it. But for those of you who forgot, let's understand why you have not been able to get your hands on this information, or why people have been lackadaisical and putting this information out. Y'all ready to go? Let's go.
In the night, rapper Takeoff was shot and killed in downtown Houston outside of a bowling alley.
This comes from police search warrants in which they lay out evidence in the case and what led them to arrest Patrick Clark for the murder. KPRC2's Brittany Jeffers joining us live this morning with the update here. Brittany?
Yes, and that 8-page warrant was filed on Tuesday. And as you mentioned, it goes over some of the evidence that led to the arrest of Patrick Clark. Now, HPD detectives say that they wanted access to the accused killer's truck in order to search for more evidence. That warrant also details some new information about what happened the night that rapper Takeoff was shot and killed. Now, according to this warrant, Takeoff and Quavo, members of the group Migos, were in town to visit music producer Jay Prince. They played basketball at a local gym and then at a private party at a bowling alley. Now, while there, they played a dice game and someone lost a large sum of money. According to this warrant, 34 people were standing outside of the bowling alley before the shooting started, and Quavo argued with several men about the dice game. The warrant states that this fight got physical, and police say video shows 2 people fired shots. One of them, a man identified as Willie Bland, who investigators say is associated with Takeoff and Quavo. Police say that his shots were not fired in the direction of Takeoff. Those other shots, however, they say came from a gun held by Patrick Clark. The warrant states that Clark was also holding a wine bottle at the time, which was left at the scene. Investigators later had that bottle tested, which showed the fingerprints matched Clark's. The video shows the shots fired in Takeoff's direction. He was hit twice. Investigators believe forensics showed the shots that killed Takeoff were reportedly fired by Clark, based off of how both men were positioned. Police later arrested Clark, and he did have a gun on him at the time, but documents state it was not the one used in Takeoff's murder. Now, investigators also used video as well as phone data to tie him to this location. At this point in time, Clark is currently being held on $2 million bond. Reporting live in downtown Houston, I'm Brittany Jeffers, KPRC 2 News.
That happens, and then we're sitting wondering, all right, he gets charged. We find out this, we find out that. The indictment seems pretty interesting. There are theories that we can make off of that. But now we need the freaking court date because he makes bond. They consider him indigent. Once they make him indigent, then there's certain monies that are freed up and all this stuff. He gets his bond reduced. People feel some type of way about that. But it is Texas, bro. Like, you catch a body in Texas, majority of the time, they're going to allow you to get a bond. Remember, Get Money Lil Ronnie. His killers and his daughter's killer, plural, have a bond, but they can't afford it. So we just gonna leave it right there. Then we have him pop up and we find out what the heck is going on. Check it out.
accused of murdering Migos rapper Takeoff is scheduled to be in court today. A pretrial hearing is scheduled for Patrick Clark this morning. Now, he is accused of shooting and killing Takeoff at a private party outside downtown Houston bowling alley last year, or back in 2022. The case is one of nearly 400 cases in Harris County that have been flagged for forensic failures and led to a firing of a forensic analyst.
So at the tail end of that video, you heard this 1 minute clip pop out, and everybody in Houston was like, wait, what?
Developing story now, a fired forensic analyst for the Houston Forensic Science Center is at the center now of a legal saga.
After nearly 400 cases were flagged for forensic failures, and there's one big case in particular affected by this. KPRC2's TJ Parker outside the Forensic Science Center. TJ, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, so court documents show that that forensic analyst, who has since been fired, as you had mentioned, was not doing their job properly, leading to an impacted cases of 392 some cases. As a result, Brady notices were sent out, which is something the prosecutor sends out, letting defense attorneys know that there is something that might show a client is not guilty. One big case in particular involves the 2022 murder of Migos rapper Takeoff, and the man accused of killing him, Patrick Clark. The Harris County DA's office informed Patrick Clark's attorney about the forensic analyst's termination last month for their, quote, lack of quality of work. And the filing states the analyst was considered a witness in the Takeoff murder, which happened at a Houston bowling alley downtown back in November 2022. So we've been reporting on issues here at the Houston Forensic Science Center involving backlogs. It's something that we have been investigating and will continue to investigate as this goes on. As for the Takeoff murder, Clark was indicted back in 2023. Reporting live at the Med Center this morning, I'm TJ Parker, KPRC 2 News.
But don't worry. We deep dive into that, and trust me, we got lawyers from both sides to speak on it, because lawyers like to get on the news and pop what they gonna pop, because it leads to clients. And who doesn't like free promo? Boom, boom, boom. Let's go.
For forensic failures, leaving a former forensic analyst from the Houston Forensic Science Center in legal trouble.
That's right. KPRC2 Investigates broke this story last night on click2houston.com. KPRC2's Rochelle Turner spoke to two attorneys about how this issue is going to play out in the courtroom. She's joining us live from downtown Houston. Rochelle.
Anthony, Candace, all day I've been checking our website, click2houston.com. I've been looking at some of the comments and questions from this article that you all posted. Now, I took some of those questions and comments to criminal defense attorneys Rick DeToto and Anthony Osso Jr., who are also former prosecutors, and this is what they had to say. What does this mean for some families that are seeking that justice?
Yeah, it's a nightmare for defense lawyers, and it's also a nightmare for the families that are involved in these cases that are seeking justice. It's going to cause delays.
Could this possibly help someone who is accused of a bad crime if we don't necessarily know what all evidence was being correctly processed?
Sure, Rochelle. So that's an interesting question. I don't know whether it will hurt or help. I think as a defendant and as a defense attorney, I want to make sure that whatever evidence comes in against any of my clients follows protocol and procedures, and that there's integrity behind it.
Kind of tell me what a Brady notice is.
So it looks like the allegations are that she may have switched samples, and with the line of work that we have, criminal defense lawyers, in dealing with DNA and samples regarding chemical testing, that's the worst thing that could happen. So in that situation, the prosecutors have an absolute duty to notify the defense lawyers that there is evidence in this case that may tend to show that the person is not guilty, or impeachment. How
do you think judges are going to go about with this issue?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a blanket procedure. I think that each judge will independently handle it in their own manner, but I think they recognize there's already a backlog, and so they will likely allow the prosecutors time to remedy the issue, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure from the judges on them to get it done, and get it done quickly.
And and I'm also working to find out more on the impact this is having on families who've been waiting for justice in their loved one's case. Now, while we don't know exactly what type of cases are being impacted, as a reporter, it is my job to keep you all informed and find solutions to your problems. So if you or someone you know is being impacted by this issue, I would love to share your story and maybe help you get some answers. You can send me an email to rturner@kprc.com. Again, you can send me an email. That's rturner@kprc.com. Reporting live from downtown Houston, I'm Rochelle Turner, KPRC.
So as you've seen in the beginning of this long video, you got to see exactly what the heck is going on. Well, Nash, what is going on? Well, we didn't really get anything. We just heard the stuff in the beginning of the year, and we were just wondering what the heck is going on. And nobody could do it, but you know what? The visionaries got me in particular, man. We got one of the dopest crews in the freaking world, and thankfully, they with us. We are going to break some news today that nobody else can because everybody else is too lazy to want to do this. So let's go ahead and get into the reason why you clicked the video. If you can, man, subscribe, turn on that bell, stay notified. You want to win one of these for free, hit that like button right now, and I'll teach you how to win one of these for free at the very end of the video. All right, let's get to what you came for. Beam me up. So at the left hand right there, you see November 12, 2025. That's his next court date. Then what you're going to see, I'm going to just start posting little random here's and there's because I think these are important. But what you're going to start to see is you're going to start to see basically when he got arrested. You're going to see attorney fee vouchers and all of these things, exhibits, DCA case reset forms, Brady notice. That Brady notice is what we were already talking about earlier. Then additional orders, amended orders for pretrial supervision and bond conditions, case reset form, DCA case reset form, amended order for pretrial supervision and bond conditions. So they've been busy, bro. Like they have been busy. He's been basically getting his bond restrictions, you know, kind of giving up. I mean, not giving up, but you know, certain things lifted because you do need to make money. So you get to see a whole bevy of things. And the last thing is that I want to show you guys is right here where it says exhibits. Now, mind you, we're going to get into what's been going on because the Brady violations have been going, or Brady notices have been going on for a minute since April. Then we got March. Then we got other orders sealing, other documents, exhibits, court attorney fees, expense claim, district courts, court appearance, attorney fee, expense claim, district. So there are a ton of things going on. I'm going to read you guys this other paper that I think you guys will very much like to hear. But yeah. All right, let's go ahead and look right here because these days you had to pay attention to this. So you see April 15th, right? I'm going to skip over to another one real quick and you can see April 7th and then you can see May. All right, so let's just pay attention to what's being said. So basically in the beginning clips, and these are why they were so important, but if you skip and you're like, bro, I don't know what's going on, don't worry, I got you. So basically the state of Texas had to come out and say that HFSC forensic analysis Rochelle Austin was terminated from employment on March 25, 2024. She was hired by them on June 29, 2019. And according to HFSC, Austin's inability to produce quality work, meet production goals, and lack of attention to detail resulted in her March 2025 termination. And that was in 2024. So basically on April 12, 2023, Austin noticed quantification results regarding male DNA were not as expected and noted a possible switch had occurred. Once the samples were reprocessed, it was confirmed that the samples had been switched at some point during Austin's testing. On March 5th, 2024, a forensic biology staff member identified a chain of custody mix-up on a proficiency test sample in Austin's custody, it was determined that Austin had processed the wrong sample after neglecting to carry out a thorough initial sample verification, a step required by HFSC in order to prevent the processing of incorrect samples. Finally, Austin was also found to have violated HFSC's chain of custody transfer verification procedure. Now, mind you, this has to do with Patrick Clark. This has to do with Patrick Clark, bro. So remember the whole bottle theory and all of that crap, man? It turns out that might not even be his damn bottle. So then we go on in here, and this is the freaking April 7th one right here, where we're not going to read the comes now and all that crap. A vendor used by Houston Forensic Science Center, HFSC, has reported that a manufacturing issue with, reagents used in DNA processing. The vendor notice has gone out to all customers in North America. The vendor has reported that certain reagents used in DNA analysis resulted in unexpectedly low DNA yield, specifically when utilizing lots of reagent kits and DNA investigator kit. Essentially, the reagents in question may not have yielded a DNA profile in circumstances where a profile should have been developed. Impacted cases have DNA conclusions of either no DNA or insufficient DNA. At this time, the vendor has identified the following lots numbers, and you have all of these numbers and stuff like that. These lots were originally released between February 28 and October 23rd, 2024, and remaining inventory was blocked from distribution on October 24th, 2024. HFSC did not receive or utilize any of the identified numbers. However, samples tested by one of HFSC's outsourcing labs were impacted. Your case may fall within range of concern, which includes cases where DNA processing occurred on or after February 28, 2024. But what we know, and this is the crazier part, is we know that he died November 1st, 2022. So I don't really see how this really helps. But what's going to end up happening is they can't bring this forensic expert, Rochelle, to the stand at all. She's going to be destroyed. Like, when y'all talk about how easy of an alley-oop that's going to be, you're going to say, hey, did you process this correctly? Oh, you did. Take us through the process. Oh, you didn't do that. Because what's the standards of Houston Police Department, of HSFC? And boom. And then what is your current status? Because that's one of the first things they do. Where do you work at right now? Oh, what happened to your last job? Well, it's publicized, so you got fired. And then we'll go to this last one. While processing a vehicle for former evidence, Busak recorded partial observations and documented notes regarding that some of the processing performed in a contemporaneous manner as required by HFSC policy. However, she inadvertently left their case notes at the HPD property room. When the notes were discovered 2 days later and returned to HFSC, Busak's technical lead reviewed them and placed them in the case file. When her technical lead reviewed the case at a later date, the final case file submitted Busak included several additional pages and notes that were not included in the original case file. The additional pages and notes were dated back to the same date as the original case notes, yet there was no documentation indicating that these additional pages and notes were created at a later date. As required by policy, when CSU leadership asked Busak about the additional pages and notes, and when they were created, Busak was dishonest with leadership about the date's origin. God damn. I mean, I'm going to assume, and any lawyer who reacts to this, help me out here real quick, because I know y'all gonna like to see this crap, but this is basically letting people know these are the individuals who did bad crap. We gotta give this to y'all as Brady notice, because if we don't, it's a Brady violation. Whole case gonna get dropped. So they're just, to me, it looks like they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's. It does not seem, from what I just read, that this had anything to do with Takeoff's case. So I know some people would probably think like the DNA. Nash, what about the DNA? Well, it seems like we're good on the DNA part. But hey, we can just go finish out. There you have it. Now, the question is what ends up happening? Well, the state isn't going to sit up here and drop the charges. One of the things that had happened, we're just going to keep it ollie, right, is we didn't know what we didn't know, right? There were so many theories, and every theory sounded great. Like, every freaking theory sounded great. From people in masks to certain people's position. We thought this, we thought that, and we thought a bevy of things. And I ain't gonna hold you. Bruh, I think the police should have charged the guy that was with him, but here's what happens when you play by street rules. You're at the disadvantage. I know this Jim Jones video is going viral, and y'all let me know if y'all want me to react to it, and I'll tell you exactly where he messed up at, because there are certain things that you do and certain things that you don't do. In the case of being from the streets and being from the hoods and stuff like that, every state has their own rules. They do. There's certain things you can do in jail, certain things you can't do in jail, certain things you can do in the pen, certain things you can do in the pen, certain things you can say to the police, and certain things you can't say to the police. Patrick Xavier Clark is going to have to take the stand. I don't know what y'all want me to do, but he has to. The Willie Bland dude, I'm not saying he's from a gang or anything like that, because I truly don't give a damn. He is the one I believe should be charged with the murder of Takeoff. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Based off of his statements, it sounds as though he's one of the reasons why things got initiated. So there's that. Any of y'all that's reacting to this and stuff, here's your chance to deep dive into that. Keep your audience enthralled. So what happens is that punch happens, and now we're just sitting here, and now we're waiting. And what are we waiting on? We're waiting on more information. We find out later, oh yeah, somebody got punched. Then bow, 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 bow. Shots start getting sent off. And then what ends up happening? You see Jay Prince Jr. walk over the dead body. That felt like some type of thing, but we don't know. We don't know if he even knew, if he even noticed, so I'm not going to put that on him, because I think that right there is wrong. But not only that, right? We find out about two people. Patrick Xavier Clark, who we found out in 2018 had a whole nother shooting and certain things that happened. And this had involved Mo 3. Then you find out about a youngin named Lil Cam. Lil Cam is only charged with unlawful possession of a firearm. Some people feel like he's the one. But from what we have not seen, and this is where people kind of get upset, and I get it, but understand, prosecutors, police chiefs, all of these individuals, they know how to sway the public. That's why they have budgets of over hundreds of millions of dollars in these main cities, which always throws me off, that some of you people believe that you're smarter than these people. And it's like, no, they have hundreds of millions of dollars to give to investigators who went to college, who learned all this stuff and learned methodology. That's why it blows my mind. I'll explain that way later in a whole nother video. So we find out that individual, Lil Cam, everybody starts saying, oh, he's the killer, he's the killer, he's the killer. His charges pop out. That's not going to happen. So then we get Patrick Xavier Clark. Now, here's the thing. If you cause the ruckus, and this is why I believe ultimately he's going to get found not guilty, trust me, I don't like saying this crap, because Takeoff's not going to get justice. The story that's going to be told is going to be this one. Willie Bland punched somebody, somebody punched back, or they're going to tell this other story of it seemed like Lil Cam was running up on Quavo, and you seen Willie Bland pull his blick out and basically start shooting, got terrible aim. Then you see Patrick Clark try to kill him. That's what it's going to show, according to the court documents. Now, you can't see the freaking video, but from what we read, this is the more likely scenario. Because what you've seen is you see Quavo talking trash, and he say one of the most disrespectful words that you cannot say to anybody. Man, let me get up on out of here before I hurt somebody. Now, I could be from Billings, Montana. I could be from Des Moines, Iowa. I could be from freaking Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Beaverton, Oregon. Amarillo, Texas. Las Cruces, New Mexico. You say that phrase to anybody in America. Anybody in freaking America. Boy, it's up right there. What you mean before you hurt somebody? So he put out that energy. Allegedly, Quavo was in his feelings about getting money taken. Now, me personally, that's one of the reasons I don't gamble. That leads to what it leads to. So all in all, we're going to see, but ultimately, I don't think he's going to get justice because at the end of the day, the blame that y'all are going to want to put it on and who you're going to want to put it on, you're not going to do that. You're not going to put it on Quavo. And this is no shade towards Quavo because I feel like the moment that you say something that the public wants you to lie about, they start to flip on you. We seen that with Young Thug. His people attack me, I attack back, people get mad. All right, cool. But with this is sad because he's not going to get his justice, man. It's just not going to freaking happen. And at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to have. But the perpetrators, the individuals who started this stuff, the Quavos and the Willie Blands, they're the ones who get to live with this BS. But they still get to live. They still have their freedom. Patrick Clark is going to be vilified. And he won't be able to really have a social media presence. And then he'll have to always look over his shoulder for doing something that he technically was supposed to do. Now, what I just said, hey, I ain't gonna hold you. I could be way off. It could look way worse. And Patrick Clark could absolutely be a cold-blooded killer. And he gets everything he deserves. If that's the case, that's the case. Because some of y'all like, bro, you just speculating. Bro, watch that video and tell me what I just said don't seem like that's what happened. But we will see. And some of y'all, if y'all try to, man, Jay Prince paid you. Please, no, I despise Jay Prince and the whole entire Jay Prince family. I just do. I despise the way they operate. I despise the way that they try to put this tough guy stuff on. I despise the way that they handled this situation. They're part of the reason I despise Gilly and Wallow. Because of the way that they responded to the stuff. They took that situation and made it about them. And for that, I can never forget them cats. Because at the end of the day, when somebody I rock with, and I say, y'all check in, nothing to happen to you, bro, listen. You have a certain level of respect and disrespect that you will accept. And if somebody like that, I don't care what it is, if Quavo felt comfortable enough to say that crap, you tell your people to stay back and let that man go about his business. I'll holler at him in a minute because we might have to go, you know what I'm saying, settle our differences in somebody's backyard or the garage. That's how my people would have reacted. So for that, I still can't rock with the Prince family. And we'll see what happens, bro, but I just don't see justice for Takeoff because at the end of the day, especially in a state like Texas, bro, if you see somebody pull out a gun, a firearm, to basically neutralize somebody that's a part of your crew, and they're going off an assumption that they're going to go swing on somebody, bro, Patrick Clark ain't in the wrong. But we'll see if he gets the little Tim treatment. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But hey, we just broke some news for y'all. All you bloggers, you're welcome. But hey, want to win this or this for free? Comment right now your thoughts on this video and hit that like button before you do or afterwards. It doesn't matter. And be a subscriber, bro. We already didn't surged, 8,000 subs already this month. So, bro, we are going to give it away at 300K. And all you have to do is be a member. Make sure you comment on every video. And that's how you are going to get that there. But click right here and see how Charleston White got doxxed by the MAGA Republicans and Charlie Kirk friends or fans. I don't know what they call them. But click right here, bro. And I will catch y'all in the next one.